All right, let's be real. Most people are taught the same old formula for building wealth. Get a good job, save a chunk of your paycheck, and invest in stocks. And yeah, that can work, if you're okay with waiting 30 or 40 years to see real results. But the wealthiest people? They're playing a completely different game. They're not just saving money and hoping it grows. They're putting their cash into things that multiply it way faster. And the craziest part? Most of these strategies aren't exactly secrets, but they're definitely not something you'll hear about in school or from your bank. For example, did you know that the top 1% own nearly half of all the wealth in the world? And the average millionaire? They don't just have one or two income streams, they've got at least 7. Meanwhile, most people are stuck relying on a single paycheck. And here's the kicker. While the middle class is stressing over inflation, rising prices, and job security, the rich are using those same economic shifts as opportunities to get even richer. They know where to put their money so it works for them, instead of just sitting in a bank account collecting dust. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly how they do it. No fluff, no gimmicks, just real strategies that can change the way you think about wealth. Let's get into it. 1. Private equity and venture capital. A lot of folks think the best way to build wealth is by investing in stocks. You buy shares in a company, hang on to them, and hope they go up in value. That's how most people do it, right? But here's the thing, the wealthy don't follow that same path. They get in early, before a company even hits the stock market. Take Uber, Airbnb, or SpaceX, for example. By the time those companies went public, the early investors had already made millions. It's kind of like discovering a cool new restaurant before it becomes popular. If you're one of the first people to show up, you get the VIP treatment, best tables, special menu items, no waiting. But once everyone else finds out about it, you're stuck waiting in line with the rest of the crowd. That's how early-stage investing works. The rich get in while the company's still growing, while it's risky, but if it takes off, they can see huge returns, sometimes 10, 50, or even 100 times what they put in. Now you might be thinking, that's great, but isn't that only for people with tons of money? Well, not anymore. Thanks to platforms like AngelList, Seed Invest, and Republic, regular folks can get in on the action. You can start investing in startups with just a few $100. Sure, it's still risky. Some of those startups won't make it. But if you pick the right one, the payoff could be huge. So next time you're thinking about investing, don't just look at stocks. Why not consider owning a piece of the next big thing before everyone else even knows it's coming? Second, alternative real estate investments. When most people think about investing in real estate, they picture buying a house or an apartment, renting it out, and collecting rent every month. That's the traditional way, and while it works, it's not how the wealthy do it. Rich investors have figured out smarter ways to make money from real estate without dealing with tenants, maintenance, or huge upfront costs. Instead of just buying single rental properties, they invest in things like luxury vacation homes, office buildings, and short-term rental funds, the kind of properties that bring in way more cash flow. Think of it like this. Imagine you could own a piece of a high-end beachfront resort or a major shopping mall without actually having to buy the whole thing. That's exactly what the wealthy do through strategies like fractional ownership and REITs, real estate investment trusts. With fractional ownership, instead of buying an entire property, you own a small share of it along with other investors. If the property makes money, so do you. And with REITs, you can invest in a portfolio of properties, hotels, apartments, office buildings, all without having to manage a single one. Now here's the best part. You don't need to be rich to start. Platforms like Fundrise and Yield Street let you invest in real estate with just a few $100s. That means you can start building wealth the same way the rich do, without needing millions in the bank. 3. Cash flow from digital assets. Imagine waking up in the morning, checking your phone, and seeing that you've made money while you were sleeping. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, for the wealthy, it's just another day. They don't rely on just one paycheck. Instead, they own digital businesses that work 24/7, bringing in money whether they're working, traveling, or just relaxing. Think about it like owning a vending machine. Once you set it up in a busy spot, People keep buying snacks all day and night, even when you're not there. Now imagine that, but online. Rich investors do this with websites, automated YouTube channels, and AI-powered businesses that keep running without them. These digital assets don't take lunch breaks, don't call in sick, and don't sleep. They just keep making money. So how can you get in on this? Start a faceless YouTube channel. You don't even need to show your face. AI tools can handle the voiceovers, editing, and even content ideas. Create a digital product business, ebooks, courses, templates, things you make once but sell over and over again. Buy a cash-flowing website. There are websites that already make money from ads or affiliate links. Instead of starting from scratch, you can buy one and start earning right away. The best part? Unlike a regular job, these income streams don't trade time for money. Once they're set up, they just keep running, whether you're working or not. Fourth, tax loopholes and offshore accounts. Let's talk about something most people don't realize. The rich don't just make more money, they also keep more of it. Ever wonder why billionaires pay less in taxes than the average person? It's not because they're cheating the system. It's because they know how to use the system to their advantage. Think of it like a board game, where the goal is to keep as much money as possible. Regular people play without reading the rule book, while the wealthy know all the secret moves, so they win every time. They use strategies like 1,031 exchanges. If they sell a property, instead of paying taxes on the profit, they reinvest that money into a new property and delay paying taxes, sometimes for decades. Business deductions. If they own a business, they write off things like travel, meals, even their car, so their taxable income looks much smaller than it actually is. Offshore trusts. Some set up accounts in low-tax countries to legally reduce how much they owe. Now you might be thinking, that's great for millionaires, but what about me? Good news, you can do this too. Open a Roth IRA. This is a retirement account where your money grows tax-free, and when you withdraw it later, you don't owe a dime in taxes. Invest in opportunity zones. These are areas the government wants to develop, so they give big tax breaks to people who invest there. Use real estate depreciation. If you own a rental property, the IRS lets you deduct part of its value every year, which lowers your taxable income. Bottom line, the rich play the tax game smartly, and once you understand the rules, you can start keeping more of your money too. 5. Buying businesses instead of starting them. Most people think that if you want to own a business, you have to start from scratch. Come up with an idea, build a brand, find customers, and hope it all works out. But that's not what the wealthy do. Instead of spending years trying to get a business off the ground, they skip the hard part and just buy one that's already making money. Imagine you wanted a garden full of fresh vegetables. The usual way? You'd plant seeds, water them every day, and wait months for them to grow. The smart way? You'd buy a garden that's already blooming and just start harvesting. That's exactly what the rich do with businesses. They find ones that are already successful, take over, and immediately start making money. Now here's where it gets really interesting. They don't even need a ton of cash to do it. They use leverage, which means they buy businesses with other people's money, usually through loans or investor funding. Some even negotiate deals where they pay the seller over time using the business's own profits. And guess what? You can do this too. There are websites where you can buy small businesses, like online stores, blogs, or service companies, without needing millions up front. Platforms like Flippa and Acquire.com list businesses for sale, and if you need funding, programs like SBA loans can help you buy them with low-interest financing. So instead of spending years building something from nothing, why not take over something that's already working and start growing it from day one? 6. Commodities and scarce resources. All right, let's talk about something the wealthy do that most people don't even think about. Owning stuff that actually exists in the real world. See, while a lot of folks put their money into stocks or let it sit in a bank account, the rich take a different approach. They buy things that can't just be made out of thin air, like gold, farmland, and energy. Think about it. Governments can print more money and companies can issue more stock, but you can't just make more land. You can't magically create more oil or lithium. These are resources that are limited, and that's exactly why the wealthy love them. Take gold, for example. It's been valuable for thousands of years, not because it does anything fancy, but because people agree it has worth. No matter what happens in the economy, gold tends to hold its value. That's why a lot of investors see it as a kind of safety net. Then there's farmland. You might not think of it as an investment, but food has to come from somewhere. No farms, no food. That's why even billionaires like Bill Gates have quietly been buying up farmland. Because no matter what happens in the stock market, people will always need to eat. And let's not forget energy. Things like oil, natural gas, and lithium, which is used in batteries, power pretty much everything we do. The world runs on this stuff. That's why wealthy investors own shares in energy companies or even buy rights to resources like water. Now, you don't need millions to start investing in these things. If you're curious about gold, you can buy small amounts or invest in gold ETFs, which are basically funds that track the price of gold. If farmland interests you, there are crowdfunding platforms like AcreTrader that let you own a piece of a farm without actually having to, become a farmer. And if energy sounds like a solid bet, there are stocks and funds that let you invest in companies working with oil, natural gas, and renewable energy. 7. Luxury collectibles and rare assets. The ultra-wealthy don't just invest in stocks and real estate, they also put money into luxury collectibles that appreciate over time. Think of things like rare watches, vintage cars, fine art, and even high-end whiskey. These aren't just status symbols. They're assets that grow in value, often outpacing traditional investments. For example, the Rolex Daytona once sold for a few $1,000s in the 1980s. Today, certain models are worth over $100,000. Similarly, blue-chip artwork from artists like Picasso or Basquiat has skyrocketed in value, with pieces selling for millions. Why does this work? Because these assets are scarce and have high demand among collectors. When stock markets crash, the rich move their money into hard assets like art, wine, or classic cars, which tend to hold or increase in value. And guess what? You don't need millions to start. Platforms like Rally Road and Masterworks let you invest in fractional shares of rare collectibles. Instead of buying an entire Picasso painting, you can own a fraction of it and profit when its value increases. 8. Insurance as an investment strategy. When most people think of life insurance, they picture it as something you get to make sure your family's taken care of if anything happens to you. But the wealthy? They see it a little differently. For them, life insurance is a tool for building wealth, not just a safety net. It helps them grow money without paying taxes, guarantees them returns, and even allows them to borrow money at super low interest rates. Here's how it works, step by step. Whole life insurance and infinite banking. Rather than sticking their money in a regular savings account, the rich put it into permanent life insurance policies, like whole life insurance. The cool part, the money in these policies grows tax-free and offers guaranteed returns. Plus, they can borrow from the policy whenever they need cash, without having to sell anything they own or dip into their savings. It's like having a bank account that also grows your money, but with more perks. Premium financing. Some wealthy individuals go even further by borrowing money to pay for their life insurance premiums. Think of it like using a loan to make more money. By doing this, they're able to grow their life insurance policies even faster and increase the overall value of the policy over time. So they use the bank's money to get more value out of their own. Tax-free retirement income. When it comes time to retire, these policies also let the wealthy take money out without paying income taxes, something that traditional retirement accounts don't offer. So instead of worrying about high taxes on their withdrawals, they can pull money from their life insurance policy and keep more of it for themselves. The best part? You don't have to be a billionaire to use these strategies. Anyone can take advantage of cash value life insurance policies to build wealth over time. You can grow your money tax-free and have access to it when needed, all without paying penalties like you would with traditional retirement accounts. It's all about using the tools available to you in a smart way, and life insurance can be a big part of that if you know how to use it. 9. Government subsidies and grants. When most people think about starting a business or making investments, they often imagine using their own savings to get things going. But here's the thing. The wealthy don't necessarily play by those same rules. They're experts at using government resources to fund their ventures, and it's not as complicated as you might think. Let's break it down with some real-world examples. Real estate tax breaks. The government offers some pretty big tax breaks for developing certain types of properties. If you build affordable housing, renewable energy projects, or even new commercial spaces, you can get some serious incentives. These tax credits and deductions let the wealthy grow their wealth while paying way less in taxes. It's like getting a reward for doing something the government wants to see happen. Business grants and subsidies. Many big companies, like Tesla, have received millions, even billions, in government grants and subsidies. These are funds the government gives businesses to help them grow, whether it's to boost electric car production or create new jobs. So instead of taking on a huge risk with their own money, these businesses get support from taxpayers to expand. Low-interest government loans. The government also offers loans to help people start businesses or buy property. Programs like SBA loans are designed to make it easier to get a business off the ground, often with lower interest rates than traditional loans. For the wealthy, this means they can buy real estate or businesses with less money up front. But here's the kicker. It's not just the rich who can take advantage of these opportunities. If you know where to look, there are grants, small business loans, and tax incentives available for regular investors too. You don't have to be a billionaire to access these resources. Just informed. It's all about understanding the system and making it work for you, not just the other way around. 10. Royalties and licensing fees. One smart way the wealthy build their income is by earning royalties and licensing fees. Instead of getting paid once for their work, they create things that bring in money over and over again. For example, a musician records a song once, but every time it's played, they get a royalty payment. The same idea applies to books, digital products, and intellectual property. You don't have to be a musician or author to take advantage of this. You can create things like stock photos, fonts, or design templates and sell or license them on platforms like Envato. Or you can even invest in royalties by buying a share of music or movie rights through platforms like Royalty Exchange. Basically, it's all about creating something once and then getting paid every time it's used. Now let's talk about something a lot of people don't really know about. The wealthy often make money by becoming lenders. Normally, if you need cash, you go to a bank, right? But the rich don't do that. They actually lend their money out to others, businesses, real estate investors, or even individuals, and they charge interest, often at rates of 10 to 20%. Imagine it like this. Think about owning a vending machine. Instead of just collecting the snacks from it, you let other people use it, and they pay you a fee every time they do. Now you're making money without doing anything extra. That's the basic idea behind private lending. The cool part is, you don't need millions to get started. There are platforms like Yield Street that let you pool your money with other people's and start lending with just a few $1,000s. Some of these platforms even let you set the terms, so you get to decide how much you want to lend and what interest rate you want to charge. If you want to grow your wealth faster in 2025, it's time to start thinking like the wealthy and use some of these strategies for yourself. So what do you think? Which of these wealth-building tactics sounds the most interesting to you? Drop a comment and let me know.